Bob Kleppel.
Here.
Kevin Creedy.
Here.
Nick Obermark. Here. Jeff Patke. Here. Tessie Steffens.
Here.
Sparky Stuckenschneider.
Here.
Debbie Todebush.
Here.
Dave Waymeyer.
Here.
Betty Werner.
Here.
Gavin Woolley.
Here. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Start with the approval of minutes from our January 6th meeting.
I make a motion to accept.
A motion by Tessie and second by Bob Kleppel. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Parks report.
Parks report. I'll try to keep this fairly brief since we got a lot to go through tonight. Recently, a couple weeks ago, we had three staff, including myself, Robin, and Jim Durbin, certified as pool operators. So we took it was a 2-day training on everything pool and spa related, and then had a big test at the end. So about 16 hours of training we had that day. And so we are all now CPOs, so certified pool operators. I'm happy to report that disc golf is about 98% complete. All the concrete's been installed, concrete pads, everything like that. Now we're just doing some grading and dress-up work and things like that. So we're ready to move on to the next big project. Park signs. So continuing on with the kind of rebranding of some of the park signs. So you'll see probably in February, is what they tell me, a new Krog Park sign. There's not actually a sign there anymore. Lakeview, Jerry Jasper Lakeview Park sign, and then the Lions thank you disc golf sign that we all looked at a month or two ago. So you'll see those out soon. Tree work continues in the parks. Josh and crew has been making good progress. They went through and did a real nice cleanup of Echo Camp Park and Main Park and over by Ronzik Field. They've also done Krog. They started a little bit down on Riverfront Park. So they've gone through Lions Lake area, I think. So as weather allows and the ground allows us to get trucks on when we need to and equipment on, we've been trimming a lot of the trees up. Staff and I have been working hard on a lot of things with the pool, purchasing items for the pool, concession stand items, pool items. We've been working real hard on pool fees, various fees that go along with the pool, and you'll see some of those in a little bit in new business. And I'm happy to announce Josh Wargo had a little baby boy yesterday. Mom and dad and the baby are doing well. So, and I think that covers it for tonight. Did anyone have any questions? Yes, sir.
Can you pass along to Josh and Tim and the tree crew what a fabulous job they're doing? I mean, when they're finished, it is tidy. I've seen them, working in the area of Lions Lake and whatnot, and they're doing a fabulous job.
That's good. I will let them know. We have some new people doing it. Usually it's Josh and Tim, but
yeah, I realize there are a couple other guys.
now that we have, and then one other thing I wanted to report, and I know Darren, you, I think maybe put this on my radar when I first started, is in the past, we were a little short on staff, and so we would trim trees and then let the limbs lay and come back in a week or two, or depending on what the weather did. Sometimes it could be quite a while. Well, now we have enough staff, and they're able to trim and pick up and chip at the same time, so it's good. We're not having limbs laying all over the place. So I just want to let you guys know that. So yeah, I would agree. They are doing a real good job of cleaning up.
If you don't see the stump, you don't know they were there.
Yeah. So, any other questions?
Okay, next is communications from the audience. Nobody in the audience. Normal people back there. Old business.
Old business, so new aquatic facilities on there. I sent out yesterday, I believe, some pictures that Westport sent me, drone pictures and videos of the new pool site. Those are pretty cool. I know Westport had them on their own Facebook site, and then I shared them on the Parks Facebook site. And I know Sherry was going to put some on the website, update the website, and then I sent them to you guys, and I know the mayor saw them, so getting those out. Ryan Casserly, the owner of Westport, our president, said that they'll do that again right before the pool opens, when the pool has water in it. And so we'll see a whole new, with all the colorful features and slides and everything in there, it should look really neat.
They're fantastic pictures.
Yeah, those are fabulous.
Those are cool.
Great pictures.
And as far as the pool goes, things are moving along. They're inside tidying up stuff. The construction crew, actually, I think, I haven't been in there this week yet, but I think they're either out or going to be out by the end of this week, moving on to a different job, and then they'll come back in the spring and finish up the inside stuff. There's some counters that need to go in, things like that. We did a quick walkthrough the other day, identified a few things, but it wasn't the pre-occupancy walkthrough or anything like that. It was just some, if we saw anything, they could get on it right before they left and tidy them up. So we did that. But things are moving along, still ahead of schedule. So
Now, the filters and everything installed and whatnot?
yeah, they're working on the pump room. A lot of that stuff is installed. One big thing that is coming, possibly Friday, it may be coming tomorrow, but I think the install, depending on weather, I don't know if snow screwed them up today or not. They were going to start installing the big slide on Friday, and I know the Missourian had contacted me about taking some pictures and things like that. So that was the date they gave me earlier this week. So I think she's going to double check with me. So, but yeah, things are moving along out there.
Any other questions or comments about the pool?
What percent of completion are they? I haven't asked. I got a new schedule from them recently, which I need to, I was going to take some of those dates and put them on the website, like completion dates, like the slide date and things like that, and update the website. But I haven't asked I haven't asked that question, but I can. I'll find out.
Okay, we're into new business, pool fee recommendations.
Okay. So recently, and I think at the last meeting I reported that Tessie and Sparky and Darren and myself and Robin and Casey were on this pool fees committee. And so we did a lot of work on trying to figure out what the new pool fees might be. And they do go into the ordinance, so we'll have to take these to council. And so I have some documents here. Pull up. We'll go with this one first. So what you're looking at here are pool fees from around the area. And these fees, these orange colored ones here on the side are cities that have one pricing structure for their daily fees. So Union is $6 per person. So that doesn't matter if you're a kid, senior, adult, whatever. You're coming in the door at $6. Same thing with Owensville, Warrenton, and Cuba. The rest of them have different pricing, and then when you get into St. Louis County, they usually have the resident, non-resident stuff, and it gets really complicated from there. And you can also see what some of them charge for what they consider their punch cards, and that's a pass where you would have, depending on how they structure it, we had 10 passes in the past, 10 punches in the past. A lot of them do 20 for a set fee. And you can see, these are our old fees at the old pool. And then these are all the fees that we found researching other websites and calling around, things like that. So we're going to say that those are current, up to date as far as we know. And then we do have, we didn't take a survey of like pool rental, like after hour fees, but that's our current, well, it was our current at the old pool, after hour birthday party fee. So you could rent the pool after hours on Saturday, Sunday for 2 hours, and that was the fee. So suggestions for, let me see if let me go to this next slide, or next. Go to this one here. So these are kind of, before we talk about the new fees, these are kind of some of our expenses here that we estimated. So you got, and this would be, I got a rough estimate from MPM, our old lifeguard contractor that supplied lifeguards and ran the pool for us. What's going on? Anything here?
On?
It was just working. Now it's blinking. Does that mean?
It might be the battery's low. Hold on a second. Sorry.
Anyways, so we have a rough estimate for this coming year because we don't have a bid, we don't have a contract with them yet. We have to go out to bid yet. Our last contract was a 3-year contract. So I took in 17, 18, and 19. No, it would have been 18, 19, and 20. We had to cancel last year the contract. That old contract was for pool operations and lifeguards was $135,000 a year. Now, remember, she told me 165 would probably be on the high end, but the price for minimum wage has gone up quite a bit since 2018, and so I'm sure that reflects some increases in minimum wage for their lifeguards. You have estimate their utilities, programming, and when it says programming expenses, rentals, and guarding, that would be if we had lifeguards for swim lessons, for the after-hour birthday parties, and then also, it says guarding there, but it's supposed to say guarding for swim lessons, guards for swim lessons. And then you got cashiers and admissions, the people that are taking the money at the front desk. And then we're proposing to have, or we're going to be running the concession stand in-house this year. And so we got an expense for staff to run the concession stand, and then an expense for product and supplies for the concession stand. And then you have the insurance that the city pays, and so you have a rough estimate of expenses for the pools, $231,000 to $251,000. Then you got estimated revenues, and then we calculated, we figured with the new pool, there's going to be a lot of demand. A lot of people want to come see the pool. We used kind of an average pool attendance for the last few years, and you can see what the attendance was there at the last column. We used 10,000, and we kind of came up with the great anticipation of the new pool, there we could probably see a 30% increase in people. So 30% on top of 10,000 people is 13,000 people. Then we took, I gotta find my notes here. Just so I'm telling you the right stuff. And then we looked at our fees and how they came in and who paid what when they were coming to the pool. And we estimated half our fees, our revenue from the pool, came in daily passes at the old pool. And we figured the other half then, we're proposing to do like a 20 punch value card. And so the other half of the revenue would come in from that punch card. So we looked at our average number of punch cards sold over the last few years. We determined that was approximately on average about 250 value cards or punch cards sold. 30% 30% increase on that is 75, so additional 75. That gives you 325 punch cards. We're proposing $100 per punch card, so that would be if you got the punch card, that would be a discount off your, I don't think I got to it yet, but we're proposing a daily fee for, no matter if you're a child, adult, or senior, of $7 per person. That would be, Union charges $6. There's a number of other pools. If we go back-
Owensville was 5, I think,
Yeah, if
correct?
we go back to the other document here, we got Union at 6, Owensville at 5, Warrenton at 4, Cuba at 4, and those pools, I know they're fairly new, but they're not brand new. And we haven't raised our fees. I was talking to Robin, and she's been here 15 years, and she doesn't remember a fee increase off the top of her head. So that $2.50 and $4 has been, as far as I know, the same for about 15 years. I could be wrong on that, but for quite a while anyways. And so with the new pool, we were proposing $7. And then with the 30% increase, we're estimating revenues for daily fees then at $7 to be $45,500. And then punch cards, if you took the 300, we figured 325 punch cards sold at $100 a punch card would be $32,500. And then revenue for programming, so that would include lessons, rentals, swim lessons, rentals, things like that. Then you got concession stand sales. We predicted, we're hoping that the concession stand can break even. And then birthday party revenue, because we'll have that new area next to the concession stand, that shelter area, and we're planning on renting that out for birthday parties. I'm not sure how many we'll get, but that would include like a drink, food for X amount of guests, and we're still working on pricing and everything on that. But I threw some revenue in there for that. And then rentals, the after-hour rentals, and swim team rentals. And so that gives you estimated revenue of 120. And then you can see, if you take on the low side of the expenses, if you take 231,000 and then minus 120, that 120,000 in revenue, that gives you a loss of 111. Or if you do it on the high end, 251,000 minus 120,000, give you a loss of 131,000. And then below that was the the pool attendance for the last 5 years. And then 2018, I just put an asterisk, that's when the pump went out, so the attendance was down some, also revenue and expenses too. So I went through that kind of quickly. I think I covered everything.
Yeah, I think the only thing that we tried to do, like I said, we put in a number. We had a meeting with Sparky and Tessie, invited them to come in and kind of go over these numbers. But, you know, the question came up, what's going to be the percentage of increase that you're going to have over with a new pool? And if you've got 10,000, we started out with 20% increase. What is it? And then we talked, now we probably think it might be closer to really 30. And so with that, and you had to start somewhere with regards to some numbers, and then we also took a look then, we felt, I think, strongly about the fact that if Union is at $6 a day, and we've got a new facility, Union's facility is, I don't know how old now their facility is, at least 10 years, I would assume. I don't know how old anybody else knows. I appreciate it, but anyway.
Oh, yeah, at least 10, yeah.
At least 10, but if they're doing 6, we felt strongly that we could at least do 7. Now, that's a big increase from what we have, but you got to also realize, I don't know that what our pool provided these last 5, 10 years or whatever is that much more than what we were charging as far as that goes. But now we're going to have a new pool, and we felt like we needed to go ahead and do that. And I think the other thing that, the only thing that Wayne didn't touch on, he had a pretty thorough report there, was we asked Finance Department to go ahead and take a look at what has been the loss that we've had over the last 5 years. And you're looking at approximately $120,000 loss
So we've done a $120,000 loss, charging $2.50 and $4.
Correct.
Now we're gonna charge 7 and we're, because of the expenses, it's gonna be the same,
You're about the same.
yeah. Now, did we mention also that the punch cards, we were gonna do those, 20 for $100?
Yes.
That's
I
at the
think you did
bottom.
mention
That
that
was at the
at
bottom
some
of
point.
the,
Yeah.
other sheet.
So that makes it $5. I mean, there's that discount then. I mean, if you want to pay for that in advance, that's $5 a day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's
And,
right
and
there. at the
also possibility, just looking at maybe extending,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Extending.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. So when we go out for the proposals
yeah.
for operations management, we would have an alternate bid in there that we would ask them to go ahead and take a look at doing at least 2 to 3 weekends beyond the normal closure date of
Yeah.
what we've had in the past of August 15th. I think it's going to be difficult for them to do it maybe during the day because of the lifeguards being back at school, et cetera, but we're going to ask them to go ahead and give us a bid, at least so we know what that, and we can make that decision then at that time of whether or not we can go ahead and keep it open possibly to Labor Day, at least for the weekends.
Yeah, so we're
Yeah,
looking
at
like
least for the weekends, I think
That's,
that would
that's,
be
that's what
better.
we're shooting for.
Saturday and Sunday for a few weeks up till Labor Day weekend, and Labor Day weekend
Yeah.
would be the finale.
Were straight passes discussed? You know, a family pass, a child pass, et cetera, et cetera?
We did, the only thing I can say, Gavin, it seems to be simpler if you just go to the punch card system. That's what couple of the other cities have done, and I think it's been very easy for them to go ahead and do.
I think the thing about the punch cards too, at least I think we mentioned this, that they would be transferable,
Correct.
so that,
Whoever has the
Grandma
card can
bring
come
the
in.
kids or mom.
If you have a punch card and you have 20 people and you have friends and family that come, anybody can use it. And you're not trying to identify who's in the family, who's not in the family. You're-
That's the downside.
the
We're gonna try to make it as simple as possible.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
that I go with.
I
yeah.
just wondered.
Okay. Do you have any records or information or data? And when you say adults here, is any of that broken down in terms of age groups like seniors? Because I noticed some of the other towns have seniors in there. I think we could really increase our revenue if we offer special things to seniors. A lot of seniors in this community might take advantage of that.
Well, I think that they're going, part for the seniors is gonna come under Robin's recreation program. She sets up a variety of programs. So you know how they do the senior swim and they do different things of that nature? She is working on those activities that coincide with just the general admission into the pool. So she is
With the-
working on that.
yeah, another thing is with the people that they got the numbers from, only three towns offer a senior. And I think Wayne, you had mentioned something about the fact that more and more pools are doing away with that.
Yes,
Discount?
another director, the director in Kirksville that I went to National Parks and Rec Director School with a couple years ago, he's working on his master's, I think, and he sent me an article around Christmas time that he was using for something, and it talked about how a lot of Parks and Rec departments are trying to and I actually saw it from a different guy in the field too, get to just one fee. Like everyone has their hand out kind of for a discount, and they're saying, why, the facility, your costs are the same, things like that. Why are you giving discounts to everyone? And then once you get into these discounts, it's like never ending. It's hard to get out of them if you ever want to get out of them. And so the kind of principle of the story was, why even get into them? Just charge everyone the same amount, and then it is what it is. But yeah, you can see that's why I highlighted them kind of in orange there. That's what Cuba, Warrenton, Owensville, and Union are all doing. They just have one price for everyone.
And we also talked about the fact that it costs more to take somebody to a movie than it does. And I don't think in town, they have one price now, or they did before COVID. They had one price. There was no senior price. There was no child price. It was just one price for the movie, period. So it's something that's happening.
Yeah, expenses are expenses, and whether it's kids in there are seniors. And I think if Robin does a good job with programming, seniors appreciate that.
Yes. they
Yeah,
want
we're
more time.
trying real hard to accommodate everyone. You know, we're looking at swim teams and being open, having practice when the pool's open to the public versus not, and just trying to accommodate as many people as we can at the pool and make it a great experience for everyone that's there at any given time.
Yep.
One thing we didn't discuss, or I kind of missed, or, so on the bottom, if I scroll down here far enough, is what would go into the ordinance. And so you can see, we basically would have three fees. You'd have the $7 per person, the punch card fee of $100, and then the after-hours birthday party price. And so I want to talk about that just for a minute. The old fee was $250 with a $50 deposit. This would be $500 with $200 deposit. The old fee was you had to, it was a weekend, so Saturday or Sunday for 2 hours, but you had to pick what pool you wanted. You had to either pick the leisure pool or the L-shaped pool, the comp pool. You couldn't have both. Where in this our new pool, you'll be able to use the whole thing. If you got little kids, they can go to zero entry, they could go to the splash pad. If you got bigger kids, they can go off the diving boards in the comp pool, they can go down the slide. So you don't have to specify. And so we did raise the price, and we did charge a little more in the deposit just because there's more that could happen at the pool. It's a new facility too, so if something breaks, it'd be a lot more expensive to replace.
And what, is there a number to that? So if they're renting it for a party, I mean, is there a
Maximum?
maximum number?
Oh, well, I talked to the pool builder, and so I got maximum occupancy, like in the water per square footage. And we determined, or he determined, that the max for the pool, and this is not the splash pad, just the pool, was 350 people. So you could have up to, I guess, 350 people. That'd be a lot of people there. But we'd have it fully staffed with 8 guards for that, so, but I
But I
don't.
mean, if they have full run of the pool, even if there's 12 kids, you're still gonna have to guard that whole pool.
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
So I mean, your
You're still paying
expenses.
out the.
And that price at 500 covers what we expect to see in increased guarding costs through our new contract when we get one. And so we're not losing any money on that.
Correct.
Yeah.
I want to make sure of
I
that.
think that's great.
To answer your question, I got a hold of Greg Kudron, our owner's rep from Landmark, and he discussed it with Ryan with Westport. It's 80% complete.
Oh, okay.
Oh, oh,
80.
wow, wow.
Yeah, that's a little higher than I thought, so that's good. And then the other thing I wanted to show you,
Hey, wait, real quick, on the
oh.
$500 after hours, so are you saying once the pool closes, then you can rent the whole facility for $500?
yes,
For 2 hours.
for 2 hours,
For 2 hours?
on Saturday or Sunday, only on those 2 days.
Normal closing time is what?
6:30.
Okay.
And we discussed this the other day too, is that there's several, fees for that, what you have for the swim teams. And when they use it before and after hours, they would be before we open it up to the general public, which would be at noon. So the normal pool hours, noon to 6:30 or noon to 7, something like that.
6:30, yeah.
Noon to 6:30.
So,
So if you want to rent the picnic area for a birthday party, and I only got 10 kids, we're gonna have a set number for that.
Yeah, so that could be, we're still working that out, but you have like kind of 2 packages, one with food and maybe one without food, or one package that includes, say, 15 people, and one package that includes 25 people, and you charge a fee for that. And, if you get food, it's more, if you don't get food, it's less. And those parties would go on, you would have that I always call it a pavilion, but it's under roof there, next to the concession stand. You would have that, we were gonna rope it off somehow, and you would have that for like 2 hours while the pool is open amongst the public.
Right. I think it's a great idea, and I think that if we rent out the pavilion for noon to 2 one day, or whatever the time may be, then we need to let the people know when they walk in the gate that the pavilion is
Yeah,
taken.
Yeah,
Because one day you might be able to go in there and sit at the picnic table, and the next day you might not be able to.
so depending
Rope it off.
on when the birthday parties are, when we,
If I paid for 6 people who come in at $7 a piece, and I paid $42, and expecting to sit underneath the overhang, and I don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm just
oh, yeah.
say that at the door.
We were gonna try to get some like roping, like kind of stanchions almost, and when it is reserved, have it, make it obvious that it's reserved. And then probably some kind of signage too. And then,
And then the same thing if there is a swim meet going on, because we designed it to where they could have that go on, enter the opposite side of the pool, and the same kind of thing, hey, pool's open, but the big end of the pool's not open, type thing, whenever you come in the door.
and we would have like some sandwich signs or something, you know, on the deck.
Meet in progress, you know, taking on, going on, or something like that.
Because we have to allow them, you know, they'll have to use restrooms and stuff like that. So they'll be coming over to like where the public is, you know, where the public would be to go to the bathroom or even possibly get something from the concession stand probably. But yeah, we talked about having some kind of sign up there so it was very obvious that that part of the pool is not open, but this part is.
Now,
And though we don't know, we also did talk about COVID, because hopefully it doesn't
Oh, yeah.
restrict for the summer, but it could restrict for the summer. You know what I mean? The numbers, even though we say it can hold 300 and some people, we might be limited on that. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But we had a big discussion about that as well.
I don't know who was next. I'm looking at Bob. I'm going to let Bob go. Sorry. I will go down the line here.
If you have a birthday party that day, but the concession stand will still be open to the public,
Yes.
is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's room on that outside then for closer
Yeah.
towards the
Auditorium.
auditorium side.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
still
some,
tables.
we'll have tables there with umbrellas.
You just won't have a cover
Right.
over there.
Yeah, Wayne, based on your figures there, you're saying, the way I understand it, $7 a person regardless of age, is that correct?
Correct.
Other than 2.5, what is it?
Oh, yeah, 2 and under would be free.
Okay, all right. And is there a family type thing, or is that where the punch card thing comes in?
That's where the
That's
punch
what-
card comes in. If you want to go ahead and take advantage, or you know you're going to be going to the pool several times within a season, buy a punch card.
Given said the COVID, hopefully that things will be under control by time summer gets around here. But outside of that, I would think because of this, the structure of this new pool and everything it has to offer, I think this first year, outside of the COVID, it's going to be a banner year. So we'll get some better numbers, I think, after that.
Yeah.
I know there was some discussion about the splash pad being open after the season for the pool. Is that also gonna be
Yes.
open in the mornings? Can they go there before noon and use the splash pad, or is
We're
that?
going to try to open that up as soon as we can and keep it open.
Yeah,
early and-
we're working through on how that'll operate when, Darren and I were discussing some of that today on how that'll operate when the pool, like during the summer when the pool is open.
Is there, I guess, I mean, if it's
When it
open
normal-
outside of season, is there a fee for that also, or is that a separate fee, or is
No,
that?
well, normal hours of the pool, the splash pad would
Right.
just be part of the pool.
Yeah.
We're talking about, the discussion is, can you do it not only obviously before the season begins, that it could be open, and after the season, but the discussion was, could we go ahead and open it up in the mornings, for
Right.
example, when they're there? That, there's, the fencing is there, just have them, I think the challenge that they've raised as a concern would be is, telling somebody, okay, sorry,
Now.
gotta get out. Pool's open, now you're,
Yeah, kick it, if the pool opens at noon and grandma's there with her granddaughter at 11:45,
Oh, you close it at 11, say, hey, we gotta clean it, get ready to get for open the pool. You don't-
Yeah.
Don't shut it down 15 minutes, shut it an hour before the pool opens.
Yeah.
that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Get 'em, so it ain't even an issue.
And then after the pool closes at night is where we kind of run into an issue. We're looking at a few things, but with an open body of water there and at night, a bunch of people, we just don't want anyone jumping the fence and either jumping in the pool and doing whatever they want or someone getting hurt or something like that. So we're still working through that, but I have more to report about that soon.
One last thing, Wayne. Based on what I'm hearing on the news networks about the minimum wage being 15, I don't know what we're paying our lifeguards or our staff or whatever. Will that have a big impact on us?
well, it's not 15 yet. Let's just be clear. It's 10:30
Yep.
this year, and so that's all taken into account with these numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's also taken into account probably with his estimate that he
Estimate.
received for Midwest Pool when it comes to operations and management.
I think it's important for people to realize too, they're gonna see $7 and see that large increase, but they also gotta realize, basically, the city's fronting $10 per person every
Yep.
time you go to the pool.
Yep.
Of that $130,000
Yep.
that they're lost, so it's, you're getting over half the price of what it actually would
Yep.
cost if the city wasn't addressing some of that cost.
I think that's the big thing. We're still going to be losing money. I mean, it's definitely a service, and it's a great pool and great asset to the community, but we're still losing money.
And that's kind of how we look at the concession stand too. You don't make money on the concession
Never.
stand, not selling what we're selling, and so we're just hoping to break even. But we do think it's a service. We've seen, prior to me starting in this position, we've heard the complaints when we had vending machines or didn't have anything at all, and then we had the people from Four Rivers
Yeah, Washington High Schools,
High School that did it, and that was great. We got a lot of, and they did too, a lot of rave reviews in 2019 when they sold stuff, and then obviously we didn't have anything last year, but, so, I mean, that's just another service. We're not making a ton of money selling pretzels and nachos, but it is something that people want, so,
Wayne?
yes.
At any point when you were talking about the pool rental, did you think about, possibly just renting for the littles? That part having maybe like a $200 charge and a deposit for just the little pool?
The splash pad?
The
Splash pad?
splash part? Okay.
No, we hadn't really addressed that yet because we're not 100% sure how that's going to operate
Okay.
with, kind of what we were just discussing before the pool opens and after the pool closes and things like that. So we can definitely look at that and see. But we can look at it and see. So.
Okay.
And so on this screen here, what's in yellow would go into the ordinance if I can get a recommendation from you all. That would be compared to what is in the ordinance now, if I can find it here real quick. Here we go. So it's highlighted in yellow here. All this is in the ordinance now. All the different fees and all that stuff.
Bring it down.
simplicity,
Bring it
folks,
down,
simplicity.
Simplicity,
are.
yeah. That's awesome.
Kind of simplifying things there, so. Any other questions about fees or anything I presented?
So we're going to need a motion and to recommend this to the city council?
Yes, and it wouldn't go on Monday. I would talk about it on Monday during my report to the council. But we'd spent a lot of time this week and even last week too, getting all this information together and fine tuning it and double checking it and things like that. So I wasn't able to meet the deadline for the council packet for this coming meeting, but I will talk about it this meeting and then present it to them in an ordinance at the second meeting in February.
Yeah, so there's a workshop, the council always has a 1-hour workshop the first Monday of every month prior to their regular council meeting. So that's where Wayne would go ahead and discuss it. And plus, that gives the council, other than these guys, this is the first time ever you guys have all heard of these numbers that we're throwing around. And so we wanted to give the council some time too, obviously, to go ahead and digest that. And there's really not that big of a rush for us to get, we want to get this done. I know Robin wants to go ahead and start advertising the punch cards, et cetera. So the idea would be at February 16th, we would have the council go ahead and vote for the new fees.
Yeah. And then
So
I
we
make
need
a motion.
a motion?
I make
to,
a motion that we
recommend?
accept the fees.
Motion by Debbie, second by Bob Klippel. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So be it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Wayne, for a good presentation. And
Thank you.
Darren, thank you.
Thank you.
Additional Lakeview soccer parking.
And so last month, or actually it was earlier this month, we talked, I said I'd just gotten them that day, I believe, from engineering, some options to add additional parking at Lakeview. And so I met with Darren, we looked at them, I met with staff, we looked at them, and I have the one option that we would like to go with. Let me pull it up here. Is that it? That's not it. Hang on. All right. So, we have an option. This is our third option, the one with the that allowed us to get the most spots in there. So what you're looking at is the pavilion up on the hill along South Lakeshore Drive, going up to Lakeview Soccer fields. And that rectangular here is the current pavilion. And so with this option, we would, kind of where all these red lines are, would dig all that out and install a base and then rock. At this point, it would be rock, or put in the rock and then install what we consider millings on top of it. You can see the estimate here down in the left-hand corner. To pave it, and that's just a rough estimate, would be almost $25,000. This is not budgeted, and so we feel that the millings would be the best option and the quickest option to get some additional parking up there. There are a couple trees that aren't in the greatest condition. There are maple trees there. They would have to come out, and then there's one over here that would come out. And this would allow for an additional 52 pull-in parking spots and then 9 parallel parking spots.
Did you say 52? I can't see that.
52, yes. And then in this proposal, it shows the pavilion going from there to here. And even since this proposal came out, it's just kind of far away from the parking lot, and it's kind of out in the middle of, you're kind of getting out in the middle of nowhere. We talked about moving it from there over to this side of the parking lot, and there's a couple flat areas. There's one like in this area here, and then there's also one kind of down in this area here. We talked about moving that current pavilion over there. The pavilions are also, the Lakeview pavilions, including this one, are in the half-cent sales tax that was approved for this year, replacement of that. So that's another big project I need to get working on, and we are working on it right now on the bidding aspect and getting the documents together. We could, so the pavilion off of Grand and the two in front of the amphitheater, we're looking at options. We can move it from there over to the other side and keep it kind of in the condition that it's in now. We'd have to pour a new pad and do some grading. Or we could take it out and budget for a new pavilion in the next year or two. With the amount of money we have in the half-cent sales tax now for pavilions, it was supposed to cover 4, but ideally, I think in reality, it's probably only going to cover 3 of the 4. And with that said, then we could just take that pavilion out for a year or so, maybe 2, do without, and then build a new pavilion over here in this area that I talked about. What's going on with my thing here? Well, yeah, over in this area here. And you'd have a new pavilion. Right now, we don't charge for that, and I don't know that we ever have charged for that pavilion. So it's a freebie. And it doesn't get used a ton. Obviously, you can't rent it, so but we don't track it. So that's an option. I do think moving it to the other side of the parking lot on this side, I do like that option the best. Whether it's that pavilion or a new one, we'll have to decide. But that does allow you, the whole reason this is on the report is it allows you all these extra parking spaces here. That gives you 61 extra parking spaces. Bob, do you think an additional 61 spots up there would probably do the trick, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at another thing too, because I like the idea of moving the pavilion up to this wooded area here, because people still would have a nice view of the lake right there. And also it opens a area up there where you could put more parking spaces. There's 2 other advantages. One, the fans or parents, grandparents, they go down to field 1 and 1A down there. This will allow them to park closer to that field there so they can have better access there, not so much walking down that hill. The other thing is it serves a double purpose because come fair time, we'll open up some more parking spots here for the fair. Okay, so that's a good idea.
Yeah, and I know Gavin, you were concerned when we met up there that day about these trees over here, and when soccer and the fair and things like that park over here, you're compacting the tree roots. I think the spot I like best, I think, is right about here, in this area here. It kind of flattens out, and there's only one tree there, and it's not in the best, if I remember right, it's not in the best condition, that we would probably have to take out to put it there. But I think by moving it over to this area, you maybe prevent more people from parking up in there during the fair and stuff like that.
Yep.
We have more activity over there then, with the pavilion and things like that. Yes, sir.
Then if we would go with this scenario, do we go with a more stringent, no parking, other than in designated areas? And enforce it?
That we'll have to, we'll have to talk to the fair and then police and figure out how that, because I've wondered that myself, and I've only seen one, been here for one fair, and I saw all the cars up there. So if you eliminate those cars, and even, if you do it there, if you do it in this area, are you doing it all through this area down here, all the way down to our park shop? If you do, I don't know what the answer is, and I don't know what the right answer is or the wrong answer is, but where do all those people park then? Yes.
So I guess this kind of piggybacks on Gavin's question. So could that be like premier parking during the fair, that the Parks Department could have, a income source from that? Or is the fact that, has that always been designated fair people?
We have.
I don't mean, I don't.
Betty, the city has an agreement with the chamber that we started a few years back to try to go ahead and try to, I guess, I don't know, get a little bit more specific with our fees that we charge the chamber for the services that we provide during the time, their rental of what they have, et cetera, from what date to what date, so that we know that somebody else can't come in during that time. Because before, it was, to be quite honest, it was a little loose. I mean, it was like if somebody came in and really said they wanted, fairgrounds on July 31st, I don't know what we had to stop them necessarily, because we didn't really have an agreement in place like we do now that says,
Okay.
hey, from this date. But to answer your question, for separate, I mean, we could work with the chamber, obviously, to see if there's something, that they wanted to specialize with that parking lot, et cetera. But as far as charging, we have that bigger agreement that's all in place, and it takes over, it takes precedence.
Darren, could we at least maybe work with the fair board on maybe getting some people up there to monitor the parking in that area like they do in other areas?
Yeah.
We can certainly go ahead and bring it up that that's a concern that we have with regards to parking. I mean, I'm assuming you're concerned about the parking in the grass and those other areas that are not designated.
One other thing, that we have a speed limit, I know through the park area. I would recommend us having a 5 mile an hour or whatever up in this particular area, because people backing out on that parking there close to that entrance of the gate, it's very possible that people may be going too fast, okay? So at least have that up there so people, whether they abide by it or not, it's just not a good idea to have it. I'm thinking about somebody having a fender bender or maybe even worse.
I guess I'm looking at this and I am thinking that it might be better to take that pavilion down, and I would not move it. I would wait and build a new pavilion if we could, if we could do that within 3 years. Because eventually we pay the cost to move that, and we got to tear it back down. I mean,
Didn't you have a cost associated, did you say?
Yeah, in the concrete pad alone, for the current size that it is, to pour a new concrete pad on the other side over here, or even where that big red rectangle is, was going to be $7,200 just in concrete.
Well,
Was there a chance that new pavilion might even be bigger,
right.
that the
It
pad?
could be, yeah. You know, as you get bigger, the cost goes up. Keep in mind, so the footprint over here is not huge. I mean, I think we can make it fit. If we were moving this one right now over there, we could make it fit. Like I said, there's probably one tree for sure we need to take out. Maybe there's some merit to, if we do get a new one, it's not budgeted in the half-cent sales tax right now, so I'm gonna have to come up the money somewhere in the future budget. But maybe, since it is free, I mean, that is a pretty big pavilion, to be free. Maybe the new one, we get a nice new one, but it's not quite as big as this one. Because I think to get a big one, a new one this size is gonna be pretty costly. I'm not saying we get a tiny one,
Right,
but
but just
maybe not quite
small.
as big as that one.
Right.
Are the 3 pavilions being replaced this year, going up basically the same size?
They're not getting smaller. They're kind of, several of them are different sizes, and I have them written down downstairs. But they would get, we're trying to unify them all. They're all a little bit different, but would get a tiny bit bigger. And it's mainly in concrete wise around the perimeter, so you're not stepping in mud and stuff like that when you if it's raining, step out into the grass.
And they're scheduled for this year.
They are scheduled for this year, yeah.
Yes.
So we've been working with vendors here in the last couple of weeks, getting pricing and
I say take it down,
trying to figure out how we're gonna
take it down.
Yeah.
get all this
Give
into
them the
the
parking.
budget we have.
We've increased it by 61 or 62 spots. It's not that I don't want a free pavilion, I do, but I'd rather have it fit and look good. And I am a tree hugger, and I understand trees have got to go down, but I don't want a lot of trees going down, and we can do this pavilion right when the time comes.
Yep.
I think, I agree too. I think that, my opinion is the pavilion needs to go, fix the parking lot like we're saying. Let's revisit this in 2 or 3 years and see if we need a pavilion to go
Yep.
back there.
Yep.
Right.
And
You might
put
be
the-
here and say that pavilion should go next to the All Village Park, another 100 feet away. You know, to sit here and look at this map and say, here's our best option today, I think, you know, do without it. Because everyone's saying, hey, what happened to that pavilion? We need it back. And it can go somewhere further down the road, somewhere else. We need to have this discussion
Yeah,
in a couple years from now.
Right.
that's a good
We
thought.
get the other ones fixed and continue on with what we're doing, but we've alleviated soccer's problem, hopefully, and fine tune it, and then we can build a pavilion down the road that fits much better and maybe less tree damage.
Initially, when I went up there to look at this about a month ago, about moving it to the other side, I was hoping that the hill wasn't, I know coming off of Soccer Field 2, it's a pretty big hill into this area here. You know, this is a pretty decent hill here coming down into this area. And I was hoping that it wasn't quite that steep, where if we put the pavilion up there, that maybe some of the soccer parents could sit at it and maybe see part of the game on Field 2, but you wouldn't be able to.
Doesn't work.
The only thing you're able to see, you'll still get a pretty good view of the lake from that spot, but you still won't really be able to see the soccer
That
field.
spot's gonna be there in 2 or 3 years, I
I
think.
mean, the
Yeah,
other
it's
thing
not-
too,
not going anywhere.
with the pool improvements, the Echo Camp Park's probably underutilized. You got
What's
the
that?
splash pad there, I mean, there's other places that
Yep.
these can go up that, you know,
Yep.
these were placed how many decades ago? And they're still there, you know, as it's the best place to have one in the overall system.
Wayne, does this eliminate the gate into the parking lot then also?
Well, right now it does, because we don't know where else to put it, but we're trying to find a spot to put it back up just to control, because now with this Millings here, you know, in this new part, it's gonna be Donut City, I think, if we don't do something.
Right, I understand. That's what I'm saying. We put that gate up there because of police activity, you know,
Yeah,
on the parking lot a couple years ago, and now we're gonna eliminate that. So it's either gotta go down the hill or.
Can it go down that, can it
Put it
go
down
down the
again.
hill further?
It could go down.
yeah, we're trying to figure out, I mean, it just gets, because we're making everything wider through here, it gets to be a bigger gate. And then, we're,
Put a gate down there and lock people out except for soccer season, then we sure as heck don't need a pavilion.
No,
Because we're not letting
Exactly.
anybody in the
right.
gate.
If
Right,
the
what-
Pavilion's out there.
What, the thought, trying to just think ahead in the future, so if we do put a pavilion up here, we would like to put a gate wherever that, I I don't have any magic locations yet or anything like that, but maybe a gate somewhere on this end of the parking lot where you still have a few parking spots here for people to park at and go to the pavilion, that's free.
And room to turn around.
And then still have this, most of this all locked off.
You can always take out a spot and
So,
make it down.
we'll see, I don't know, that's in the future.
And as
but-
far
Plan or
as fair
something
parking
in there.
goes,
Yeah.
I think parking's at a premium, we know that. I think the problem is when it's inclement weather. When it's muddy and it rains, you can't park on the hillside. And I think the fair board knows that, and they have very, very aware of that. They do it on every parking lots. If it's dry, and it's the first week in August, and it's dry, then you're free to park up there. I don't think that's an issue. Whether you come through that drive or whatever, it's just probably 100 parking spots, they can park on the hillside. But if it's raining, rope it off, and you gotta go park in a lot at the high schools or, whatever it may be,
Take
that's
the
just kind of the way the fence is.
I think,
That's something they're gonna need to know and do, I think.
right, I think at the last meeting, it was brought up, and correct me if I'm wrong here, there was a concern about compaction to the tree roots, the trees up there. So that was the other thing. I just wanted to point that out, but.
Could that be the reason those trees that you say you're gonna take down, they're in pretty bad shape, is because of where they've been parking?
Yeah, I mean, it could be probably not, maybe not this one over here, the sycamore, I think it's a sycamore maybe over here, but possibly these two, yeah. And probably this one here, because that's where everyone,
I think what I'm hearing, allowing them to park anywhere in that area, regardless of the condition of the soil at that time, is not gonna do our trees any favor.
That's true.
So
Dry ground. it's
that's
still
the
gonna
reason,
compact
that's the
roots.
reason, to have it monitored during the fair so that they do not park in that area.
I mean, 100 cars, 2 bus loads. I mean, they can find a lot someplace to park on.
Yeah.
okay.
Do we
Any
need any
addition-
kind of a recommendation or anything for this proposal?
Yeah, I think it probably would be good to have your recommendation on this.
Okay. So I'd like a motion to
I make a motion.
recommend option 3
Second.
with, and as I understand, the motion should include not replacing that pavilion at this time?
Right.
Is that correct?
No, excuse me, we're leaving the pavilion up or we're taking it down?
Taking it down.
Down.
Leave it down, okay, then I make a motion that I approve that.
Okay, so we have a motion by Bob Zurich,
I'll
second by
I'll second
Debbie.
Yeah, go for it.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Good report, once again. Hummingbird Club sightline agreement.
I just wanted the last two items on the new business, I just kind of wanted to make you aware of some things we're working on. So the city has a sightline agreement with a number of property owners along the East Trail down there. And they went into effect, the sightline agreements went into effect around 2006, I think, if I remember right. And I think in that time only, the Hummingbird has enacted their agreement once already, and maybe one or two of the other property owners. And so the agreement with the Hummingbird Club is that they have a sightline view from their windows at the lower level down to the river, into the river, so they can see the river. And it's at a plane from a point at their window going down, and there's, I have it drawn up, I didn't bring it here, but long story short, there's a number of trees that have to be removed that are in their sight line. And so I'm working on a bid proposal to get those removed. The way it would work is the city would bid it out, and then the Hummingbird, according to the contract, pays for the removal. And so we can specify, as far as the removal, if the trees are chipped, left in place. Josh thinks he can put in like a, kind of like a temporary road for them to get in and out of the area. So they're not just driving around 100 different trees. They could pull into this road and have their chipper or whatever it may be and their equipment on this road and just kind of move up and down a line. So they're not weaving in and out of trees and just chip and blow and cut and things like that. main thing is I want to make you aware of it because there will be a lot of activity down there once this starts. I'm hoping to get it bid out later this month, well, probably at the beginning of February, sometime in February, and have the work done as soon as it can get done. But there is a rough estimate right now, approximately, and it varies in sizes. Most of them, because this was done last time in 2008, I believe, or 9, somewhere into there. Most of the trees are not huge, but there are a couple big ones that do have to come out. And so you'll see work, and we'll probably have to close sections of the trail when this goes on and things like that. Any questions? Okay. I'm
Question?
making you guys aware because I know, as Tessie said, there are a lot of tree huggers out there, including myself, but that this, once the public sees activity going on down there and they're taking down trees, they're going to be questioning. And so I want to make you guys aware so you can fill it in. It's an agreement that the city has with these property owners, and they're paying for it, but we bid it out. The contractor has to meet our insurance requirements, and
And that agreement dates back to the early,
Mid-2000s.
I think like 2006 maybe. And so it's been done once already. I think it was like 2008.
It's my understanding they've been saving up for quite a while to go ahead and have this work done.
Yeah, because it's not going to be cheap.
And isn't it right, because of the sightline in that agreement, the parks kind of determines the trees.
Correct.
Yes, and
Right.
so Josh and myself have been down there numerous times, and we met with the Hummingbird Club president and walked through and identified trees that we need. We have, the Parks Department has a say on which trees can be removed and can't, to an extent. And they can specify which trees they like, and then we'll look at them. And so it was kind of a give and take, and this is where we're at now. We've identified them. They're marked. We'll get a contractor in there to remove them. Then even at that time, probably halfway through the process, we'll have to probably take a look again from their window up there and just make sure that we're getting all the trees that need to be removed, and then complete the project.
where does bank stabilization figure in on this?
Well, it does figure in on that, and there are, in the agreement, there are guidelines on how far and the distance-wise on which or how many trees can be removed along that bank within so many feet of each other. And so Josh and I looked at those and selected the ones that we think can come out versus the ones that we think should stay based on their height and things like that. So they're not coming in and clear cutting, if that's,
It's my understanding that's the whole reason why the agreement was put in place back at that time.
so they wouldn't
Was
come
to
in.
ensure those
Couldn't
things that you're
clear cut, right.
raising concerns about.
So will they actually use the trail itself to access those trees with their equipment?
Yeah, they'll have to drive in probably from the sand plant end, I would imagine, drive in and then get off of the trail at
So
below the Humming.
If that equipment does any damage to the trail, then they're responsible for that, right?
Yes, we'll have to make sure we put that in the agreement.
It might already be in the agreement as
Yeah.
far as that goes, but we certainly are not going to allow somebody to, on our freshly paved trail, to
Oh
go
my
ahead
gosh, I know.
and damage it.
Well, just a little bit of humor, maybe we could trap those beavers on the east trail
Oh my
and bring them over to the west trail. And get rid of some-
Well, this is all
I
East Trail.
did a walk on the West Trail this weekend, and I saw a big tree that I was
I
going to
know,
bring
I
your
keep
attention.
thinking it's gonna fall when I'm walking.
Yeah.
Are they that
They
bad?
got big teeth.
Any,
There's one on the East Trail, too.
any other,
I'll walk this weekend.
any other questions on this agreement?
The beaver.
Are they just removing trees? Is there any logging in that at all? Is there any for conservation on some of the lumber down there? No, and most of the trees down there are like box elder and cottonwood and. No, I mean, they're probably gonna be required to haul some of the bigger pieces off. And what they do with them after that, it's.
Any other comments?
Is there any requirement they replace them? I mean, is there some plan in the future to control the height of the trees that grow in there so that every 15 years, I mean, you can get a tree that only grows so high and stage them down through there to still maintain some kind of foliage and, you know,
Stabilization.
not every 15 years you're out there cutting down big trees because, you know, they get growed and they get started and that's what.
Some of them that are down there there's a lot of vines down there, and I hadn't really thought about this until Josh brought it up, but those vines sometimes do us a favor, especially in that area where they keep the trees from getting so tall because they just kind of suck up all the light and everything and kind of push them down. So we got that going for us. All the trees that are there, none of them that I know of have been planted after the last time they did it. So that's all 10-plus years of growth.
And I don't know that it's the city's concerned about the trees growing necessarily. That's
Yeah.
up to them to come to us.
Right.
As far as the city's concerned, they stay, they grow, they, you know, whatever. If they choose that they want it down according to the agreement, this is the steps that they have to take to remove them.
Yeah.
But we do have some trees, Josh, or just so you guys know, some trees ordered, saplings, ordered and kind of for like a bank stabilization project that are coming in April that we got free through organization that I'm a member of, and then through the MDC, through the Conservation Department. And the plan is to plant them down there. Now, granted, they're saplings, but we will get them planted down there probably through Urban Forestry Council and Mike Smith's group. So, but we are conscious, you know, these are saplings, so it's probably not a big deal, but any other trees that we would plant down there in the future, we are kind of conscious of maybe not planting them there because I don't want to be taking them out in the future, so. Anything else on that?
Okay, let's go to the reduction of landscaping bids.
I just wanted to make you aware that we are working, staff and I are working, we have addressed some, and I talked about it a little bit in American in Bloom the other day, and I've talked about it with Darren. We do have, it seems like the Parks Department has a lot of landscaping beds in the parks, and I know some of you guys brought up concerns this summer about Phoenix, and Phoenix seems to be one with an overabundance of landscaping beds. And not that I don't like landscaping beds, but they generally are or can be a lot of maintenance. And so we have identified some landscaping beds at Phoenix and other ones throughout the park system that we will probably be taking out this year and reusing those plants and other beds to make other beds, existing beds, nicer. Some of the plants are so overrun with Bermuda grass that we'll probably have to throw away because we won't want to transfer that Bermuda grass to another location. But I just wanted to let you know that we are, just because the beds take a lot of land and a lot of man hours to maintain, and this would be, I'm also working, trying to come up with a plan to better address the medians on Highway 100 too. Just because those take a lot of maintenance and man hours also. This is one of my goals for this year, to try to figure out and reduce some maintenance for our staff. So I am working on that. You may hear a little more about that in the future. So
Thank you.
Just
Any
a
other
comment on
comments
that
on
too.
that one?
Listened to a seminar tonight on natives. I think that was a misconception. We did all the beds at Phoenix and around town with all natives. And they were good for a couple years, and then natives spread because that's what they do. And then trying to pull weeds out of a weed patch, as some people say, it's just, the maintenance is unbelievable. So that's one of the goals, is trying to reduce that.
Highway.
Along the highway too,
yeah.
they gotta thin it out. I mean, you got the Weeding Wednesday group, and they try, but there's no way they can keep up with everything that's,
Because they keep receding.
yep.
Yep. So.
Okay,
I have one more quick thing, and I didn't put it on here. I'm still working on some other fees, memorial bench fees. I'm like 98% there. And some other fees that since we're not having a meeting in February, I'll probably email out to you guys and just see if you have any questions, any concerns, anything like that. And then I'll be able to get some of those pushed out to the public and things like that too. So you'll probably be hearing more from me in the near future.
Does anyone have anything they want to bring up, talk about? I have a couple things I'd like to talk about. Tessie and I mentioned probably trying to start up a long-range planning committee so that we have something that, what do we want to do down the road? I mean, I think most of us saw that Pacific is planning to spend $8.5 million over I don't know, 3 or 4 phases, and this came up from their long-range planning committee. So I'd like to see that put on the agenda, so that maybe we can discuss this at our next meeting, and as well as resurrecting the Friends of the Park. I think there's a lot of money to be had there. If we can resurrect that and get a committee on that particular part of what I think would be tremendous assets to our park system. And just, if we get it on the agenda and we start talking about it, maybe we can resurrect both of those. And
Yeah.
that's it.
do
Anybody
that.
else?
Good idea.
I have a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion?
Second. We have a motion by who?
Second.
Bob Zurich, and second by who?
I said Betty.
Okay, Betty.
Remember me?
I can't hear through these things, or I can't hear, period. But really, I can't hear through these things. So, all in favor of the adjournment?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.